In the past, whenever the term prophetic medicine was mentioned, I would think of nutrition, herbal medicines, and other practices referenced in the Quran. But as modern medicine has acknowledged health and wellness as a lifestyle and not just a treatment, I found that the life of the Prophet was in itself a comprehensive system leading towards health and wellness. As we have explored, the World Health Organization defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Additionally, the field of epigenetics has brought to light the fact that we're not bound by our genes. Rather, it is our way of life and choices that affect our genes and lead to either wellness or illness. Through the foods we consume, our thoughts, our feelings, and every other part of our lives. So, in the purest sense, health and wellness is a way of life. The Prophet, peace be upon him, says, "No human has filled a vessel worse than his stomach. A few bites are enough for a man to keep his strength. But if he must, then a third for his food, a third for his drink, and a third for his breath," where a few bites denotes quantity. And to keep his strength denotes quality, the quality of food with high nutritional value. Reducing the amount of food we eat by applying the concept of calorie reduction is the practical application of the prophetic guidance in a few bites and to keep his strength. In 2013, the British Journal of Diabetes and Metabolism presented a meta-analysis of all research concerning reduced caloric intake. This research favors this method for the prevention of numerous diseases, including obesity, high blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes. Another study conducted in 2012 at University College London indicated that cutting your food intake by 40% can prolong your life expectancy by 20 years. The Prophet advocated fasting 1400 years ago. He fasted 2 days a week and encouraged us to do so. Research in recent years has identified the health benefits of such intermittent fasting. There are many books published detailing the physiological health benefits of what has become known as 5-2 fasting, which means fasting 2 days a week. The Prophet also says, "The eyes commit adultery, and their adultery is in their gaze." When we see an action, the brain cells responsible for carrying out that action are stimulated. These kind of cells are referred to as mirror neurons. For example, if a person watches pornography, this action is not a mere viewing. It is an unhealthy excitation and exhaustion of the sexual center in the brain. As for our feelings, the Prophet says, none of you shall believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And also, by God, you shall not enter paradise until you believe. And you shall not believe until you love each other. Thus, he affirms beyond doubt that there can be no path to faith except through love for humanity. Scientific studies show the remarkable power of love in achieving health and wellness. When we experience positive feelings of love, compassion, forgiveness, or generosity, our brain releases hormones like oxytocin, the love hormone, which helps to counteract the adverse effects of negative hormones in our bodies. Even the simplest acts of expressing love and goodness, such as a smile, has a positive effect. Hence, the Prophet urged us to do so by saying, a smile is an act of charity. Modern science confirms the physiological benefits smiling and laughter have on health and wellness. Among the most prominent researchers in that field are Dr. Lee Burke and Dr. Stanley Tan of the Loma Linda University Medical Center, who proved over the course of 3 decades that when we smile or laugh, we truly experience something astonishing. The signals that trigger the release of stress hormones are intercepted in the brain, thereby protecting our bodies from the harmful consequences of these hormones. Not only that, but the surge in endorphins elicits a sense of comfort, satisfaction, joy, and pleasure. Feelings of hate, malice, or jealousy increase the release of adrenaline and cortisol, which in turn have adverse consequences on every cell in our body. We have been warned against these negative feelings on many occasions by the Prophet, peace be upon him. The Prophet says, do not lose your temper. Do not envy one another. Do not bid falsely against one another, nor detest one another, nor be hostile to one another. In regard to our thoughts, the Prophet urged us to show optimism and positive thinking. God said through his Prophet, I am as my servant thinks of me. If he expects the best, he shall find it. And if he expects the worst, he shall find it. On the other hand, he also warned against despondency and despair. When the Prophet was asked, what are the greatest sins? He responded, associating false idols with God and despairing of God's mercy. Modern research reveals that the brain cannot distinguish reality from imagination. So the images we construct in our brains are not only perceived as reality, but they also have a miraculous physiological effect in reshaping and restructuring the brain. This means that the more you feed your brain with positive images, the more active your brain becomes, giving you back positive thoughts, actions, and energy. In another study at the University of Pittsburgh, published in the periodical of the American Medical Association, 96,000 women were examined over the span of 8 years. After categorizing them into optimists and pessimists, it was discovered that optimists enjoy better health than pessimists. The optimistic women had a 9% lower incidence of heart disease, and the risk of death from any cause was 14% lower. Our understanding of prophetic medicine was narrow, since we did not realize that health and wellness are a way of life, Understanding prophetic medicine requires a closer examination into every detail of the Prophet's way of life. So, how closely have we examined his daily life? How he eats and drinks, what he allows his eyes to see, his ears to hear, how he walks and talks, how he thinks, and how he feels. The reason why prophetic medicine leads to health and wellness is because the Prophet's way of life was guided by God. His life is a beacon of guidance. He's a perfect model, a practical example, and a living portrayal of the Quran.